my name is Anita Rodriguez, and I'm from here, from Taos, and my family's from here. I've lived here all my life, with a few trips here and there. And I'm a painter at the moment, and a writer. I'm writing a book.
What's your book about?
Well, it's a cookbook, and it has got stories in it, and it's stories about the wonderful cooks in my family, the terrible cooks in my family. Excuse me, story about a restaurant where I worked for a woman who really taught me to cook, and unusual stories about eggs. For instance, there's a chapter on eggs, and the chapter on eggs has recipes for eggs, but it also has information on how eggs are used by curanderas for diagnosis. The chapter on vegetables has a section on ayahuasca, which I took an ayahuasca journey with the curandero several times, and the plant spoke to me, so it talks about plant consciousness. And there's also recipes for mud, because before I became a painter, I was a contractor. And here in New Mexico, women are the traditional adobe finishers and have been for over 1,000 years. And you just sort of learn this if you're a woman by osmosis. So I include recipes for mud, and in that chapter there's the buildings speak, because I've always imagined that it's only a matter of time before they invent some kind of technology whereby you can put an instrument on the wall and listen to everything the walls have heard throughout the centuries. So this chapter has memories of people who lived in the houses, and the buildings themselves have consciousness and speak. So that's basically the book.
My name is Carmela Quinto. I'm a native Taoseña, born and raised here, and my family's been here for generations and generations. I've been working at Millicent Rogers Museum for over 20 years, and I began in an entry-level position, and I worked my way up. So now I'm curator of collections, and so I'm basically in charge of all of the objects in the museum, everything in the collection. The care, conservation, education, preservation, exhibition. So it's a big responsibility. And I take it very seriously. These objects are very important, and they're very important to not only to the visitors who come through, who are visiting Taos, so that they can better understand Taos as a community, but also to the kids, to our kids who are growing up here. It's important for them to understand where they come from, and that they play a role in the history of Taos.
Well, as a writer, you're always looking for the thing you want to write about. I landed here and was busy with putting a foot down and creating a home environment at a time when I was between books. I just finished a book about the Great Hurricane in the Northeast, and that really immersed me in the history and in that region. You know, I'm just always looking for a good story. It's nice if it hasn't been done before, because particularly with nonfiction, I always want the support of a publisher behind me. I find it very risky to think that you would spend 3 or 4 years of your life doing something and find out later that there's another one in the pipeline, and then that's not going to pan out for you. I think you can do that with a novel, where your work's being driven by a creative drive and the fire in the belly. You've just got to do it. But with nonfiction, I think that's a little bit different. So I'm always just looking for that good story, and I think that those elements that I spoke of about Millicent's life in that first half of the 20th century, that was what really excited me. I thought, this just isn't the story of a rich woman that was beautiful and had lots of clothes and ended up in Taos. It was more reflective of other things.
Well, I'm Cristina. I was born in Barcelona in Spain, and I came to Taos in '87, and I've been here ever since. And what do I do? Well, I do all kinds of things. I'm a mom, but my daughter is already 21 years old, so she's grown up and doing her thing. And I run the puppet theater here in Taos, Los Titiriteros. So I'm a puppeteer, I'm a marionette player, I play with string puppets. And I also am the founder and director of the theater company, The Artistics. And that's a theater group that we work with a lot of artists from the community, and our actors are adults with developmental disabilities. And we put together performances for the community. And that's been going on since 2004. And it's expanding. Like now I'm working with a group in Española, so it's moving further and further, reaching out to more and more people. And that's a very interesting and fun work. I really enjoy.
I wanted to expand my tool set. I didn't have a lot of welding tools at the time, and I was waiting tables when I first got here too. And I thought, well, shit, I'll just teach some people how to weld, and in exchange, I'll buy some tools. And that's exactly what happened. I taught 10 women that I worked with at the Taos Inn back in the day, and I realized I really enjoyed teaching, and it was really empowering to watch them be empowered, and it was really fun to watch women like excel in that trade. It's women from all walks of life, and I just started a scholarship program, so it's really women from all walks of life, so the women who have a little bit more can actually help the women who don't. And it's a really wonderful thing to be able to impart this knowledge, like working in a metal shop and working with these tools in a very gender specific atmosphere where there's no I don't know, weirdness around having men there who somehow think it's their birthright to know these tools or whatever. It's a nice, like, mellow environment, and it's also like how women understand things, and it's easier to impart that knowledge to women as a woman than it is to a man, for example. So
I think teaching is an art, not a science, and I think it's a people art, and I think it's about being happy to see people every day. I never met a kid who didn't respond to warmth and humor. They're just like everybody else, and they're not always happy to be here. Sometimes life is rough on the outside, but in the moment, in your classroom, it's safe and we're going to have a good time. And I think Taos High School kids are very special. And if you walk around the halls here, I think you can get that feeling. I wish that people who came here and wanted to start a different high school or create something would come and spend a week or so here just hanging out with kids and see, oh no, this is wonderful. This is where we want to be. This is very good. But I think kids are just like everybody else. They just want to be loved and appreciated and honored and played with and seen for what they are, which is unique and funny, and they all have something wonderful to give, and they keep you young, they keep you laughing, they're funny as hell. They're just so funny and dear. And I was here for 37 years. I don't think I ever had a bad day here or had a serious problem with a kid that I couldn't, work out in 5 minutes.
Just from being
Just saying,
open
okay,
and
here we are, we're stuck together, let's see if we can't make this work, and what do I need to do to make it better for you, and here's what you can do to make it better for me, and let's get through it.
I think that we have to spend a lot of time doing drudge work, and an acceptance of that it can't all be those remarkable moments, bang, 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 all the time. That there's inspiration, there's, those wonderful gifts that we get where we make something beautiful and we don't even feel like we've really done it, like we're the conduit between something that wants to be and something that then is, and, all of that remarkable part of creativity, that's great, but you don't get it all the time. The rest of it is just that daily plodding, doing the drudge work. Everyone has to clean their studio, clean their kitchen, do the laundry. We're lucky if the day-to-day drudgery of our lives leads in some way to some moment of beauty. I'm lucky because, a big part of my process is this strange drudgery, but then I get to have the gift.
I make sculptures. I think it's because my dad's a sculptor, and I think it's because the clay is so beautiful, and it's kind of redundant for me to make a bowl, a pottery. I mean, how many bowls and potteries can a person make before they start experimenting some other way? So my mom used to make masks, and I think it's because of the theater background, and there's this, because my parents are heavily involved in theater, and for a long time we did plays too when we were little. So maybe that's where this whole mask thing comes from. They're neat, they're fun to make, and I don't know how they're gonna turn out. Like I try to have a notion of what I'm gonna make, but the clay basically does what it wants. It's organic, it's from Mother Earth. They're all natural pigments, and I use turquoise and coral to accentuate them. That doesn't really mean anything. I guess I could put meaning toward it, but a lot of my work is just aesthetic. It just comes from design. Sometimes I title them, sometimes I don't. This is a female. She looks female. And I painted this mask several different ways. I wasn't satisfied with any of it, so then I would take it off with a sponge. And I think I prepared a little crack because it was raining last week and it got moist. And I just was like, oh, this mask, and I almost didn't finish it. Somehow it just was giving me so much trouble. I don't even know how this came out like this, but I was looking at it and I was just going, wow, that looks like a Native American church design. My grandfather, my dad's dad, was a roadman. He was like in the Native American church, and he was real serious, and he was well respected. And I feel like those designs come from the peyote meeting, because they make a moon out of sand. I don't know if you've ever been to peyote meeting. Well, there's these design elements are in there, and I just was like, I need to paint a design, and I didn't know what to paint. And it came out like this. This looks almost like a peyote button. You know, they're bulbous like that. And then the color. So I was like, oh, that's so trippy. It's just so weird how it works out like that.
Taos was so much different promoting myself, because at first I was like, oh, what if I'm promoting myself and, you know, you got to put some money into it and you got to put a lot of time into it. What if I do all this and nothing happens? And everyone's just kind of like, ha ha, you know, but it's not that way here. It's so supportive. I mean, as soon as I made an effort that, you know, vote for me, because it was a voting thing, as soon as I put that effort out there, everyone was like, how can I help? And it was amazing. It is a small community, but I think it pays to be kind of, and I'm not, you know, saying whatever, but it kind of does pay to live in a small community and to be like a big fish or whatever, rather than being a big fish in a huge pond. And being, you know, because it's more, you can be more recognized, I think. And people here are way into supporting our local talent, which is amazing. We put a lot of our money, I guess, time, love, just everything into our community, and it shows.
If the crowd is excited, and you know, I even get more excited as I DJ, and you know, it just goes back and forth, and we just go higher and higher. So it's you know, but as I'm DJing, it's kind of a process of surrendering, just like it is with the people who are dancing. It's a process of releasing your body to the music and just letting go of like any thoughts of, okay, how do I look? How do I sound? You know, just really letting go into the rhythm. And you get into this place, I've gotten into these places where I just feel like the roof going off the building, you know, and I just feel this straight, like upward, you know, connection. And I'm just like, just praising. I'm just excited. I'm just like alive and just in that moment. It really puts you in the moment. And just to feel that is so elevating and so healing.
For me, the archetypes are really calling to come through at this time as we stand on the threshold of just massive global change. And I do feel that we really are at that threshold now. So power, that's a whole other conversation. That's a whole discourse in itself. But basically what I'm trying to do is empower people who are looking at my work. So in the end, I'm hoping that the work is going to empower the viewer. But really, I'm working with a meditation and a healing meditation. I mean, some of these things take me, years, literally. This one behind me took over a year of dedicated work. So these are very long thought forms, and it has to do with focusing on basically a healing energy as I'm working very, broadly. That's what's happening.
Well, I'm Tanya Ocaña Civijil, and I'm a native Taoseña. Actually, I was born in Embudo, New Mexico, which is just south of here. And I, for many years, have been very much interested in the arts. And so for the last 6 years, I've been working, the last 15 years, curating children's art shows here in Taos. And 6 years ago, I was asked by the school district to become the elementary arts coordinator. So I would say last year was our highlight program. I bring in basically visiting artists into the school district, which teach a very specialized art component that is involved also with their curriculum and standards and benchmarks. Last year we had 22 visiting artists, and it varies anywhere from cultural to traditional works, and then very contemporary as well. So it's visual, music, dance, and theater.
Everything in this front room is all hand-dyed and hand-woven here in New Mexico. And a lot of people are from Taos and Santa Fe, and every artist is different. We represent about 35 different tapestry and rug artists from around here. And that's what you see in this front room, but then you go into the back and that's all hand-dyed yarns. My mom and I dye all of our yarn, and we manufacture our looms and our spinning wheels, and that's what Alex is weaving on back there, a Rio Grande walking loom. And we teach classes in here, and we have apparel artists. We have another about 35 apparel artists from all over the country, but also a lot are from Taos. So you get a lot of color and a lot of art, and it's all hand woven, handmade. Y'all can do it yourself.
So this is my most recent book. This was published by Red Hem Press in March. It's called Vocabulary of Silence. And it's a meditation on and response to the wars in Iraq and Afghanistan and our responsibility as humans. And it is a part of the genre of witness poetry, I think. And my first book, which won a prize, A Bell Bear Deep, won the Nicholas Rourke Poetry Prize, is a series of lyric persona poems, taking Sarah and Hagar from the biblical time to slavery in the U.S. to a mythic present. And it's very much a woman's book, very much talking about how could these two women who are unequal in so many different ways, what would it take for them to come to love one another?
I think there are specific things that bring people to Taos. Art is definitely one of them. And I know a little bit more about that because my husband's an artist. The people and we have people from all over the world that come. Not as much now because we've closed the gallery, but he's still working, on a limited basis. And so he's got a website. But when people come and we bring them into the house and give them, tours of the house, typically the response is, I've never seen a house like this. This is the highlight of my tour. Of my visit to Taos, this tour, and we get letters from them and stuff. It's really very beautiful, and I think it expands their consciousness, and they tend to look at things a little bit more from a perspective that they see themselves in it as well as seeing what it is itself. So I think it expands them a bit.
I love Taos. Having lived other places since growing up here, Taos is an amazing community and a true community, and that's why I'm here. It's the people, the acceptance, really the acceptance, being able to do my work and have that be a valid profession.
What is it that you do?
I'm a photographer.
And what type of photography do you do?
I specialize in antique photographic processes, so I use a big camera, and I do things pretty much the way they were done in the 1850s, 60s. My subject matter is much more contemporary, but my process is an old process. And there's some confusion sometimes in saying that you're a photographer. That could mean a lot of things. I'm an artist, and that's a reason to live in Taos. I found just after college, starting out as referring to myself as an artist, people seemed to think that that was synonymous with slacker. It kind of meant nothing, like I do nothing. And I really needed to move back to Taos so that I could say I'm an artist and have people say, fantastic, what are you doing? Instead of, artist is also in some other places sort of synonymous with waitress. And in Taos, you can be an artist and a waitress and be respected as an artist while still making a living as a waitress. And, that's one of the wonderful things about this community.
Ooh, feel love, crazy for your love. And when I get that feeling, sweet love.